Suggs is here now. Suggs, we're going to talk about your new album, Theatre of the Absurd presents C'est la vie. Should we do the interview in French or English? What do you think? How's your French? Should we give it a go?
No.
No.
You don't like speaking out loud in French, Tim?
I don't know. No, I've got a bit of a
We were talking about that, actually, that thing, you know, when you go to France and you say something, you know, you one phrase in French and they answer you in French, and then...
That spoils it, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then you say the answer in English, they don't get it, and then you just say it much louder. Or with a slightly French accent, that's the other one.
Don't you spend time in Italy? Haven't you got a house in Italy?
I do indeed, yeah.
Have you learnt Italian?
I've learnt a bit of Italian, yeah. But again, you know, you just find yourself just putting an O on the end of everything. Thank you. Tomorrow. Well, I can speak a little bit, yeah.
What was it that drew you to Italy? Is it, you know, is it...
A friend of mine moved down to Puglia, which is in the south of Italy, a place I've never heard of. And it was just very out of the way, and the house was very cheap. And I like the Mediterranean anyway. And I've had it for 20 years now. I like it very much.
How much time do you spend there?
I try and get out there in June and September. They're my favourite times.
Yeah.
July and August gets very hot and very busy. But September's my favourite time, yeah. Depends on what the work, you know, what my work is, but September's normally when I'm not got a lot on.
Now, it always makes me very happy when the boys are back together again.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've followed you from the start. I know I don't look old enough, but I am. And,
Pony cheese, that's it. Go on.
It's so wonderful to see you, because obviously, like every band, there's ups and downs, but the idea that you're all back together doing a new album, how did it come about? It's wonderful.
Well, it's been 7 years, so we're not exactly a fast-moving organism. It didn't help with the lockdown, but funny enough, during the lockdown, we all started writing songs, and by the time we got in the studio, we had 40 songs. Yeah.
That's great.
So we hired this industrial space in Cricklewood, North London. We just wanted somewhere where we didn't have time constraints of being in a professional studio or the money, basically.
Right.
So we thought we'd try it out. We were worried about the sound, but we were having to stop while trucks backed into warehouses, beep, 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 while we were recording, and drills going off and all that. But it was great just being able to come and go as we wished. So for about 4 months, we were in there recording and writing and messing around.
Does it still feel as much fun?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, especially after that 2 years of not doing anything. You know?
Yeah.
And certainly playing live, I think I enjoy it probably more now. I think the privilege of it and still being able to do it, the fact we're all still alive, that always amazes me when I look around stage. But, yeah, I mean, when you're young, you know, everything's a bit of a blur, isn't it? But I really appreciate it now, yes, I think in a slightly more resonant way.
You say, I read something where you said the first time the band all agreed on this album. Is that, agreed in which way? What, the direction or
Well, yeah, well... We all had our different views of what was right and wrong about the lockdown and the pandemic, as everyone did.
Yeah.
We were a bit of a microcosm of society, completely divergent opinions, you know, to the point where we were going to kill each other, but fortunately we couldn't, because we couldn't get together.
Right.
We weren't allowed to. So we were trying to kill each other on the email. But that's a terrible way of communicating, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when we got in the recording studio and rehearsing, you know, it always comes together when we're making music. I mean, music is incredibly healing and transcends.
That sum of all parts is greater than the small differences, almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, sit around playing your instruments, yeah.
I know you love it. I remember you coming on the show just after lockdown and you were saying your missus saying you started singing at people in the bus stops because you wanted to get out there and do it so much. But the rest of the band feel the same way? Do they love being on the stage as well, like, and being Madness, part of Madness?
Very much, yeah, very much. As I say, almost instantaneously we were in the same room together. I mean, not to, you know, compare, but we'd watched that Beatles film, what was it, Get Back, you know, about the last album. And that was very, very inspiring, you know, because there was that whole thing where they weren't supposed to be getting on. And in fact, once they sat playing together... It was
brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they all loved it still. And so we set up like that in a circle, you know, pretending we were the Beatles for a couple of weeks.
I've got one, it's called Taxman.
Get back!
Get back! All right, and just before we show a clip of one of the songs, tell us about the Theatre of the Absurd presents, because you're doing it in acts, aren't you? How does this work?
Well, I wrote a song called Theatre of the Absurd, and then, which is just about, you know, I imagine being locked in this theatre for the whole duration. But then I was reading about the theatre of the absurd was a sort of movement in the 20s and 30s to reality, like Samuel Beckett and all that. But there was actually a French theatre act that wrote plays in gobbledygook because they were just going, no one can communicate with each other anymore. And I thought that was quite apposite for the times we were going through. And then Mike, our keyboard player, didn't agree and wanted to call it C'est la vie. So then, of course, we came up with an amazing compromise.
That's what democracies are all
You
about.
know what I mean? And you come up with a load of old nonsense, pretend it's a concept.
OK, let's have a look at you guys in action.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Oh, life begins at 5 to 8. No time to waste, it will not wait. A lay-in that was yesterday. Up and atom into the fray. There'll be no time to catch your breath. The enemy of life is dead. So sweep the hallway, mop the wall. Your destiny's about to call.
Great stuff. It sounds very madness,
It
doesn't
does.
it? And that's
It-
what's
it-
great about. I listened to the album,
That's
just went,
it.
it's madness.
Every time you hear your voice and that combination of
Well,
music,
that's-
it's uplifting. That's what you guys do.
You know, I mean, we've been talking about it ourselves over the years. You know, if you come in with a calypso song or a jazz song, unfortunately, it's going to end up sounding like madness, no matter how different you wanted it to sound. But that's because of the keyboard player, sax player, and me, and of course all the different members of the band.
Yeah.
It
But
gets madness.
The band would sound better with Helen Mirren singing.
Oh, it would be amazing if Helen... I mean, that would be incredible, Tim.
I think this is what it might sound like. I think it might sound like this. Let's listen.
What, as if?
Life begins at 5 to 8. No time to waste, it will not wait. A lay-in that was yesterday, up and atom, into the fray. There'll be no time to catch your breath. The enemy of life is death. So sweep the hallway, mop the hall. Your destiny's about to call.
How did you get her to do that?
Well, I'm glad you asked me earlier because we were talking about my house in Italy.
Yeah.
And one of the great ironies is she's my next door neighbour.
Oh, amazing.
She's living at the end of my road. And my abiding memory of meeting her was someone said, you know, invite her out for lunch. I'm sure she'd love to meet another English person. I had a load of friends at a restaurant on the beach, and I said, look, no one freak out, but the Queen's about to come round the corner, all right? Two of my friends fell off their chairs when they saw Helen Mirren coming down the road. But she's a very charming person, I mean, down to earth is such a cliche, but she really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very nice. And
Now,
very kindly did that for us. Yeah.
We understand, Suggs, you're going to be leaving the show a little bit early today because
Yeah.
you're off to sell merch in Camden Market. Is this true?
This is where it's come to. Life goes full circle.
Who's going to sell the merch? Salt Straw. Suggs is doing it.
He's doing dodgy T-shirts of his own band.
Bootlegs from his own band. Are you?
Yeah, well, I wasn't supposed to mention that the album's #1 because it isn't. It's like a prediction.
Right, okay.
I'm going down to Camden Market to try and ensure that it is #1
Right,
by
okay.
the end of the week.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If it kills me.
Yeah. You're also going out on tour, and it's understand that the Lightning Seeds are with you as well.
Yeah.
Ian Brody's on the show next week.
yeah.
That's going to be such a great gig. I mean, the amount of hits from both of you lot is just incredible. I mean, you've had so
No, we
many-
played with them before. I sort of feel a bit sorry for the audience sometimes because, you know, you're getting sort of 2.5 hours. You
Yeah,
can't
sing-along.
miss
Yeah,
a
yeah.
single song.
Yeah.
No, they're a great band to have on the road with us. Yeah, we love them. And as you say, just hit after hit, yeah.
So how long are you touring for? You're doing the whole
I
country?
think about 2 weeks, yeah. We start on the 30th of this month. And I should get these numbers right. I've been doing it for 2 weeks. Anyway, in Aberdeen on the 30th.
You'll be there anyway.
Yeah.
You'll be there. Thanks, Suggs. Madness album Theatre of the Absurd presents C'est la Vie is out right now.
After the break, it's Drinky Poo's time with Mark Dredge. See you in a bit.